About a month ago, I was on Colonial Knife Corporation's website, and I was just searching. I thought, are there any multi-tools I missed? Surely not. There's a survival multi-tool I thought about getting for about $130. And then I clicked on the next page and I found this. This is their SolderTech soldering multi-tool, and it has some features I have never seen in any other multi-tool. Now, as a backstory, I saw this multi-tool on eBay maybe a year or two ago, and then before I could think about buying it, it was gone, and I couldn't find it anymore. But I did find it, and it just came in the mail, even though I had to wait a long time. I'm talking about weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks before it finally showed up, even longer than if you order off of AliExpress. Now, I was sort of surprised when this came because it came in a large, sort of like a large yellow envelope, and then it's obviously a smaller tool in this box, and then it was wrapped with what looks like a little bit of newspaper that they printed out that tells you that yes, your blade is great, but you can easily break it. So I thought that's not a very good start, that they're very confident their blade is great, but be careful because it could break. Comes in this box right here, and we can see from 1926 to 2026 is how they say their company is, when it was started and how long it's been running, and the centennial anniversary. Now, when we open this up, one of the fantastic things about this is a lot of you have talked about, what about these like side cutters? And for people, this is specifically designed for like electrical work. And I feel like that would be very helpful for a lot of people in some of those small, like, not necessarily just computers, but some small electronic tasks. It says on their website, I think it's PCB electronics, but whatever you may face in your job is something where you're dealing with small wires and so forth. I think that plier head could be very useful, and it's not really a plier head, but the cutter head. Now, maybe you've heard it. Let's just take a pause to enjoy this music. Yeah, that sounds really bad. So as soon as I opened this tool, I began to have a sinking feeling because this is not what I was expecting. Now, to put in context, this tool is $70. That is before shipping and handling. I think I ended up paying $75 to $80 for this tool. And it sounds worse than some Family Dollar multi-tools I've heard. Yeah, pretty bad. So we've got this very cheap spring that makes it spring-loaded a bit. And then we have what looks like pretty much a copy of the Leatherman PST pivots with the knurled edges on the pivots. Yeah, that's a little different. So essentially, the design cues are definitely from way back in the 90s or the 80s. Now on the inside, this, I'm not even sure what to think about this. Now the story gets even a little bit more odd when we look at the handles. Over and over again, I read when I look for reviews of this tool that this is for circuit boards, electronics, but I had to dig really deep before I could even find what these tools are labeled as. So I was able to download a catalog of this tool, and it used to be called the ST10. Now it's just the SolderTech multi-tool. Now on these handles, they say it has a fine point probe, which I assume is this one, a hook probe, which must be either of these over here, or perhaps this one, scraper, slotted probe. Well, we've got a slotted probe right there, perhaps the scraper on that side. And then they talk about a fine point probe again. So I'm assuming that's what these are. Yeah, this is a very, very startling multi-tool. It's a lot different than most any we've seen. And one of the big differences is it looks like it's just been welded on to essentially a multi-tool implement. So you can see where it looks like they have just made these blanks and then almost like cut a slot in here and then stuck this in welded and then, yeah, sanded it down. And all of these it looks like are the same way. I don't think these tools, are produced as one whole tool. I think they're welded together, it looks like, perhaps. Not really sure, but that it definitely looks a little bit rough. Now, they do say that this is made in China. At least they're not trying to say it's still made in the U.S. I know there's been some mystery as to whether the Colonial Knife Corporation, I believe some of their knives are made in the U.S. and then most everything is made overseas. But I think there's a factory in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, I believe, that was brought back to life. I think they closed in '98 from what I've read, and then they were bought over, and then a lot of their production moved to China, which this seems to be pretty obviously made and made very cheaply in China. $70, this is way overpriced, to be honest. I should never have bought it, except I do enjoy reviewing some of these Otter tools, and I think this might be at least a pattern that some of you are looking for, something similar to at least the cutting head at the top. This might give someone an idea to bring this back and to make a better version of it. Perhaps there's a market for something like this, but definitely, better quality. You can see the handles don't even line up all the time. Very unfortunate. It is a 4-inch frame, so it will be very similar to the Leatherman PST in size. I'm not sure about weight. Comes in at 130 grams. Move it over to ounces, 4.6 ounces. So it doesn't weigh probably too much more than the Solid Power Pint. It's a very lightweight tool. I guess my end thoughts are that I can't believe how cheaply this tool was put together. It doesn't barely close. It's really unfortunate. I do like, again, that it has an unusual multi-tool cutting head, but that's pretty much it. These implements, are not something I would be personally interested in, but it is another unusual tool that would join my collection.